Okay, what is good, everybody? It is the Godfather of VR, the Ageless Wonder, the man Lincoln Clay, coming back at you with a graveyard stream. How's everybody doing? Competitive, what's going on? How are you? Big shout out to Uncompetitive, who joined us in the round table. Shout out to the round table. Shout out to JDO. I was watching his Drive Club as well as his GT Sport stream. Ah, let's see here. So 1:44 a.m. on the East Coast. I am wide awake at the conclusion of this podcast. I do not know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to jump in the car and take a late night ride, go to the casino and kill some time, or play some VR. I don't know. We'll see how I feel after I get done with this podcast. But yeah, I want to talk about Great Tantrum. What do you mean? And I'm not talking about a Justin Bieber song. You know, the current PlayStation VR. You know, we know it's great, and and we do know that the current PlayStation VR is largely responsible for the growth of VR. I still say it to this day that VR wouldn't be where it's at if it wasn't for the PlayStation VR. Hell, I mean, depending on how you look at it, the PlayStation VR gave the Oculus Quest a head start. By the time the Oculus Quest came out, we were at the point in VR where some people were saying, well, I'll give it a try when it's wireless and that kind of stuff. So here we are. The Oculus Quest is on fire, and I think you could say that that the PlayStation VR, the Oculus CV1 and I think the DK1 or whatever that was before that, you could call those the pioneers of VR if you want, but the PlayStation VR paved the way for where we're at now. So enough of the good stuff about the PlayStation VR, the grim realities of the PlayStation VR. As I've said on more than one occasion, I've said it before that the PlayStation VR is lacking in some areas. It's lacking in sim racers, one of my favorite genres. It's lacking in first-person shooters. Although, we know that Firewall is really the only legit first-person shooter game on the PlayStation VR. Now, Zero Caliber, I believe, is supposed to be coming somewhere between now and June. And when it launches on PlayStation VR, it's supposed to have player versus player. Currently on PC, it has co-op. So I don't know if it's going to be cross-play or not. But if they can get this shit to working, then salute, because I think the limitations of the hardware are the biggest reasons why we don't see a lot of first-person shooters. We also do not see a lot of multiplayer games with the PlayStation VR. And in order for us to get that, I think you're going to have to upgrade to the PS5. I don't think there's any way around it. Originally, I was going to title this podcast that current PSVR users may get left behind, but I think that would be a little bit harsh of a title, and it might even turn some people off of VR and say, well, if I'm going to get left behind, then once I'm done with this PlayStation VR, then I'm done with VR altogether. So I didn't want to put that kind of a title out there, but I have to be honest. I think if you want to see more sim racers, especially online sim racers, more online games in general, and more first-person shooters, because even Zero Caliber would be a welcome addition to the PlayStation VR format if they can pull that off and make the multiplayer work. But but if you want to see more first person shooters, I think you're gonna have to upgrade to the PS5. Great tantrum. I hear how software will be upgraded to next gen system. Example: Xbox One X will run and look better on the Series X. I hope something similar will happen with PS5. In that aspect, okay, like I get what you're saying right there. Like take a game like Firewall for instance. I wouldn't doubt that when the PS5 comes out, that maybe there will be an enhancement patch, um, and the game might look better and possibly run better on the PS5. But what I'm saying is that moving forward, any game that gets developed, any VR game that gets developed for the PS5 that has like next gen graphics for VR and its multiplayer, I think PS5 people are going to get it, but not PS4 people going to get it. Like case in point, when the PS5 launches, GT7 is supposed to be one of the rumored launch games, and it's rumored that it's supposed to have full VR support. By that, I suspect that they mean every aspect of the game will be playable in VR, including multiplayer. But I think on the PS4 flat screen part of the game, all that stuff will be there. Multiplayer, all that stuff will be there. But the VR aspect of it, on the PS4, I do not think there will be a multiplayer because I don't think the hardware would be able to handle it. Because otherwise, the current GT Sport would have VR multiplayer. So you're talking about a next gen game that's going to be developed for next gen hardware. I think that's the prime example. So when the PS5 launches and GT Sport launches alongside it, and you love sim racing in VR, if you want to play GT Sport or GT7 VR multiplayer, you're going to have to get a PS5. That's what I believe. But at the same time, great tantrum. I think you're right that I think that's a great possibility that current titles that are out right now, could get an enhancement patch and probably could run better. But I truly believe if a game isn't made for the current hardware, if a VR multiplayer wasn't made for the current hardware, you're not going to see it next gen. Well, let me scratch that. You said, well, that goes without saying. Naturally, we expect you need next gen to play next gen software, but for easy transition, current games will be upgraded to a new hardware, kind of like how games upgrade when you upgrade your PC. What I think is another possibility that could possibly happen. To give you an example, that dog shit game Warzone that launched on PlayStation VR. See, the first time I saw a trailer for that game, they boasted that this game would be 50 player, and it was gonna, you would have the use of vehicles and that kind of stuff. So basically, this game was supposed to be Battlefield in VR. 50 players, and it was supposed to be cross-play across the platforms. And I never played the game on either platform. I do know that the game is multiplayer on PC, but I'm not sure it's 50 player. I think it might be 36. I'd have to go back and look. So that was strike number one right there. And then the game came to the PlayStation VR, and it's single player, no multiplayer. When the first time I saw the trailer for this game, that was supposed to be the highlight of the game, of it being 50 player, where you can break off in 10 squads of 5 players. A game like that, it might be possible that on the PS5 they might reintroduce the game on PS5, because I think they would probably have enough powered in to actually do the multiplayer that they originally talked about. So it still goes back to me believing that to get the experience that you're looking for, you're still going to have to upgrade to the PS5. So yeah, Raw Data has, I got that game, and I was sorely disappointed with Raw Data. Great Tantrum. It gave the impression that it's basically a wave shooter, but the way the trailer presented itself, it seemed like a free moving game where you'd be able to, freely move down corridors or what have you. But it's simply a wave shooter. And I think wave shooters, I think we got to the point now where with 2020 looking like it's going to be the year of physics-based VR games, wave shooters are dinosaurs now. So, if a game comes out and it's a wave shooter, I don't even want to talk about it. But the multiplayer aspect of Raw Data, I think that was really fucked up. What's good, Leaf? PSVR is good, Leaf, but I'm just pointing out where it's lacking. Coming back to Raw Data multiplayer, I tried the multiplayer and it was empty. Nobody was there. And the only reason why I did not get pissed about buying Raw Data is because the game normally sells for $40, and I think I got it off of G2A for like $17. So I wasn't upset, but But at the same time, I did not know about Steam's refund policy at the time. You said you still want a Rift, though. I still hope you get it. So, raw data didn't do anything for me. So, I might have said something, by me saying this, I might have said something that's obvious, but I still, Silent Assassin. PSVR is good until you get yourself a Quest or any other PC VR headset. Agreed, 100%. After having a PC VR headset, I would label the PlayStation VR as the starter kit of tethered VR headsets. So there is a lot of stuff, there's still a lot of stuff at the PlayStation Store for VR. There's still a lot of shit there. It's just that it's lacking in multiplayer and it's lacking in first-person shooters and sim racers. Whatever it is you desire in VR, you will likely find it on PC, and you'll likely find a bunch of versions of that game. There's a ton of sim racers out there, a ton of first-person shooters and so forth. Tantrum, I expect PS5 to give us PC quality VR gaming. There should be no hardware issues. The CPU in the PS4 is a little bit better than a mobile phone. Not ideal for VR gaming. Plus, the VRAM is lacking. And Silent Assassin said agreed. PC VR helped me get into VR without spending so much money. I've said this before, Silent Assassin. Is actually because of what the PSVR was lacking that drove me in the direction of PC, because if the PlayStation VR, all these like right around the time that Firewall got announced, you know, when we were seeing trailers for Firewall, we were supposed to get like we were seeing trailers for Alvo, we were seeing trailers for I think it was Special Forces VR. I think that's what it was being called at the time. And I think it was scrapped and came back as Zero Caliber. So we had Alvo, Special Force VR. Shoot, and then and then we got advertisements for Zero Caliber, Warzone. So I just ran off about 5 VR first-person shooter games that we saw trailers for a couple of years ago, and for the most part, Firewall is the only one that's really materialized. I don't even count Warzone because that was a cash and grab piece of dog shit that they put over there. So getting back to what I was saying, Silent Assassin is like, before all these first-person shooter games came out, sim racers and first-person shooter games were the games that I was starving for. Those were the two games where I absolutely wanted to experience VR. And before Firewall and all that stuff came out, there was no first-person shooters. As far as racing goes, Drive Club was there, but it was blurry as shit. So I started venturing out and started checking out the landscape, and then I found out about Onward, that was on PC. And when I saw videos of Onward and how interactive it was, and how people had the cameras in the corner so you could actually see them, you know, loading their guns and pulling the slides back and that kind of stuff, I said, whoa, you know, I was like, looks like all the good, you know, all the stuff is over on PC. But at that time, I was like, you know, I felt like that was out of the question, that I was going to be spending $1,000 on a PC plus like $600 or $700 on the Oculus Rift CV1 or HTC Vive, because that's what they cost at the time. But it became obvious that it was like it was looking like the experience that I wanted was over on PC. But I held out, you know, and we got Firewall, and I felt like, okay, Firewall is a good entry point first-person shooter game. I felt like over time, as we get the other games, as Alvo and all the other games will eventually show up, I thought they were going to be the premium first-person shooter games, and they were going to be better than Firewall, but they haven't showed up yet. So it started becoming obvious that, like, Firewall was really going to be the only first-person shooter game, legitimate one, that we were going to have on PlayStation VR. And then as games like Project Cars 2 was showing up, and, you know, they would get a PlayStation version of Project Cars 2, there was no VR support for it, but it was VR support over on PC. So that started becoming obvious that if you wanted to play VR racing sims, you were going to have to go to PC to do it. So it was what PlayStation was lacking rather than what PC offered that drove me in that direction. Now that I'm there, there's no turning back. You know, it's like I'm staying on PC for good. Fatal Charade, what's going on? Pug, what's going on? Tantrum, you said to be fair, PSVR owners enjoy Resident Evil 7, Wipeout Omega Collection, Firewall, Astrobot, to name a few. There's a ton of great games on PlayStation VR. You just mentioned a couple of them. You know, Firewall, Resident Evil, Wipeout Omega was fun, but I'm more of the VR. I'm more of the sim racing stuff. I'm more of the Gran Turismo stuff to be able to do that fully playable in VR, and the Project Cars 2, that kind of stuff. Astrobot is a great game too. And Pug, you said I got Project Cars 2. You got it on PlayStation or you got it on PC? And Fatal Charade, you said, speaking of PC, I just downgraded the crap out of my PC. For what? You still leaning towards getting a headset, Fatal Charade, when you said you were going to wait till around the time that Half-Life Alyx comes out, are you still planning to do that when Half-Life Alyx comes out? Silent Assassin. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to crap on PSVR. I'm a Sony fanboy, but PC is where it's at right now. Facts. I feel the exact same way. Matter of fact, when I first got my PC and got an Oculus Rift CV1 and I saw how much more games was out there, I was still fiercely loyal to PlayStation VR. I was still fighting tooth and nail for PlayStation VR. But as time went on, I had to, face reality. That whatever PlayStation VR has, you can probably find it on PC times 10. One first-person shooter on PlayStation VR, about 30 of them on PC. You said you downgraded to a i3 9100F and a GTX 1650 Super. I don't know. And you said you're still getting a headset. Great, that is good to hear. And Pug, you said you got Project Cars 2 on PS4, which has no VR support, and that's why I did not buy that game. I did not buy it on PlayStation 4 because it didn't have VR support. And now we know the truth. The limitations of the hardware is making it, I'm guessing, impossible. Which will, eventually take me into the next subject. Great Tantrum. PC VR is killing it this past year and will continue so until PS5. I hope PS5 will get the killer ass we all see on PC. I'm telling you, a lot of these games, Great Tantrum, I believe a lot of these games right now, there's currently on PC, there's not on the PlayStation VR, we will see them when the PS5 comes out, because I believe that the PS5 will have enough power to handle that stuff. Case in point, like Pavlov. I think games like Pavlov and Onward, we will see those games on the PS5 because I think the PS5 will have enough power to handle those games, along with controllers that will be suitable for those games. A game like I think we could see Project Cars 2 come over there. I think it's already there, but I think we could see VR support for Project Cars 2 once it makes it, once the PS5 comes up. What are some other games? Like I said, even that dog shit Warzone, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to reintroduce that game with upgraded graphics along with the VR multiplayer that they originally promised us. Yeah, I agree, Pug. PlayStation 5 needs to hurry up. Fatal Charade, you said, truth be told, I downgraded because this CPU I'm using was incompatible with my other motherboard. So yeah, that's all stuff I don't know. That's why, PC, beep, walk out with the box. Simple. Great Tantrum, you said Codemaster has no plans to release VR for the PS4, but I'm willing to do it. Well, I'm willing to bet you they'll do it for the PS5. Right there. You also right there too, Tantrum. But maybe PS5 will get VR support for Dirt 2.0. I agree 100%. I think the only way that it wouldn't get support is if like a Dirt 3.0 is like right around the corner. That would be the only way I would see them not adding VR support for Dirt 2.0 on the PS5. As if the next iteration of the game is right around the corner. Same thing with Project Cars 2. If a Project Cars 3 is right around the corner, then that's when we'll get our VR support on the PlayStation. If they don't plan on coming out with a Project Cars 2 for a few more years, then the current Project Cars 2, I think, would get VR support on the PS5 as well. So I think that's what it's going to come down to. It takes it right back to what I was saying. These experiences that we're getting on PC right now, if you want those experiences on the PlayStation format, you're going to have to upgrade to the PS5 to get it. So That's why I believe we're going to get a flood of games. Like, I think when the PS5 hits, I think we're going to see so much shit from third party games that's currently on PC right now, and they're going to port them over to the PS5 that I don't think PlayStation is going to have to put out a ton of exclusives. They might only have to release an exclusive once every 6 months or something. You know, they put a few exclusives out there, I think, to get the ball rolling. But honestly, I kind of got this funny feeling when the PS5 comes out. I think it's going to go one of two ways. I think their flat screen games may get VR support, or if they decide to go the route of making, you know, ground up VR games, ground up VR exclusives, then I think they won't be doing it as much. So, case in point, a game like maybe whatever Guerrilla Games is working on right now. If they're working on another Killzone, we know that whatever they're working on is going to come out on the PS5. If it's like another Killzone and it has VR support, then maybe that's the route that Sony's going to go, where they may not put out as many VR exclusives, but a lot of their flat screen games might get VR support depending on what it is. But if they don't go that route, I still believe we're not going to see as many exclusives from them, because I think the third-party developers are going to flood the PS5 with a ton of games, because they might have a game that they developed 2 years ago that they weren't able to bring it over to the current PSVR format, but once that PS5 hits and they got the power to work with, then they might bring those games over. So I think a lot of you're going to see some old shit make its way over to the PS5. Let's see here. Pug, you said always check to see if CPUs, memories, and GPUs are compatible with what you got, so you don't got to downgrade the thing. I learned via PC building and uncompetitive. I think we will get on Asgard's Wrath. I do not think so. That is an Oculus exclusive. And I don't know. If Oculus wants to, you know, with their games, if Oculus wants to take the Microsoft route and they want to try to get their games out on every possible format, yeah, you could see Asgard's Wrath under those circumstances. But if they kind of keep the mindset that Sony had for so many years, where their software is what makes you buy their hardware, then no, you won't see. You're not going to see Asgard's Wrath on a PlayStation. But it would be interesting if they did it. But I also believe that if they were to bring Asgard's Wrath to the PlayStation, I think the game would sell pretty good. I think the game would sell damn good, in fact. Tantrum, you said San Zero made Asgard's Wrath. Oculus Facebook bought that studio. Yeah. And like I said, unless Oculus takes on a Microsoft approach where they want to try to spread their content out as far as possible, then yeah, you would see Asgard's Wrath on the PlayStation under those circumstances. But I just got this funny feeling like, Oculus wants to, use the software to sell the hardware. So right now, my gut tells me that no, you won't see Asgard's Wrath on the PlayStation. Silent Assassin. I played a pirated version of Asgard's Wrath, and it looks good, but it's overhyped. Well, I didn't finish the game. I didn't even come halfway. I probably say I did about 25 to 30% of the game, but I think it was enough for me to give it the nod for Game of the Year. Because when Blood and Truth came out, that was my Game of the Year. And I stuck to it until Asgard's Wrath came out. And even when I saw the trailer of Asgard's Wrath, I was like, yeah, maybe. I was like, I'll check it out. But when I played the game and I got into it, I was like, this is game of the year. And Blood and Truth is my runner-up. But I think this year for 2020, whatever. Damn, I can hear that damn PlayStation Pro taking off like a jet. Hold on. Yeah, that shit sounds like a jet in the background. Tantrum. However, games like Stormland might show up to PS5. Insomniac Games is bought by Sony, who made Stormland, but Stormland was an Oculus exclusive that they made for Oculus. So I'm under the impression that Oculus still owns that game. I also believe that that's why one of the reasons why Sony bought Insomniac, because I think Oculus was probably going to have them do another project, and Insomniac has done a couple of VR games. We know that Sony wants them to do Spider-Man 2, so I think that Insomniac could have spread themselves thin by working on Spider-Man 2, possibly working on another project for Oculus, and hell, maybe do a VR project for Sony. So that might be 3 possible projects that they will be working on at the same time, spreading themselves awful thin, and the quality of one of those projects might suffer. I think that's one of the reasons why Sony scooped them up, so Sony can keep them strictly in-house to focus on our stuff, and put your best quality into our stuff. So I think that was a smart move by Sony picking up Insomniac, because you can have them naturally do Spider-Man 2, as well as probably smaller VR projects. So the year that whenever Spider-Man 2 comes out, who knows? By then we might already see 2 or 3 smaller VR projects coming out of them by then. Let's see, great tantrum. Awesome news. PS5 will have quiet fans, no more jet taking off in the heat of battle. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's that PS4 Pro making all that racket. Speaking of the PS4 Pro, like right now, my PS4 Pro is on right now, and GT Sport is running. And so earlier, I actually did some comparisons. I was flipping back and forth between looking at Project Cars 2 on my PC and looking at GT Sport on the PS4 Pro. And I think GT Sport runs at about 1800p on the PS4 Pro. When I first started doing the test on my PC, it was running at 1440, and I turned it up to 2160. And so I have to say that, honestly speaking, say I'm smoking crack if you want. Maybe it's me having maybe my PC is mediocre, but I believe that GT Sport looked a little bit better than Project Cars. As crazy as that sounds, but I think the biggest reason why is because of the HDR. The HDR makes pictures sharper, and I think it knocks out some of the aliasing. And I think that was a big difference between that and what I was seeing on PC, because I don't think I turned on the HDR on my PC, but there was no option to turn on any kind of HDR within the game. So I think Project Cars 2 on PC does not support HDR. So I think because of that, I have to give GT Sport the slight edge on which one looked better. So is what it is. A lot of PC dudes might be mad at me for saying that. Oh, like I said, it is what it is. Let's see here. Yeah, Insomniac is a good studio, Pug. And uncompetitive, you said early PS5 dev kits was described as a silver tower. Great tantrum. Dirt Rally 2.0 makes my pro breathe. Yeah, man. Like I said, that GT Sport is running in the background, man, taking off like a jet. Gamertag VR, dude, what is up? To put it in a nutshell, I was just explaining that I think a lot of the things that are lacking on the current PSVR, such as lack of multiplayer games, lack of first-person shooters, lack of racing sims. I think if you want those, you're going to have to upgrade, to the PS5 when the PS5 comes out. So, moving on to the next subject. So, I've been on that subject. Fatal Charade, they should move on to the AO liquid cooling in the next-gen console. Hey, even if the PS5 sounds like a jet, I'm still going to buy it. Because I do believe that we're going to get what we want VR-wise when the PS5 hits. I still believe we may not get as many exclusives. I don't think Sony's going to pump them out like they were at one point. But I think what they do put out will be quality. So it is what it is. Right now, as far as the PS5 goes, my biggest concern is GT7. Fully playable in VR with VR multiplayer. So that alone right there is worth me getting a PS5. Truth be told, if they did that, no jet engine noises. Got you. So let's move on to the next subject, and that is Bullet Sorrow. The reason why I brought that up because it ties into what we're talking about right now. Bullet Sorrow just came out not too long ago. It is. It looks like it's a. I'm getting the impression that it's a duck and cover type first-person shooter game. It's on PC and it is on PlayStation VR. But I went to go check it out on PlayStation VR. The trailer that's on PlayStation VR is the same one that is on PC, and it says the trailer says player versus player, PvP as well as PvE crossplay, but yet the description on the PlayStation bio describes it as a single player. It mentions nothing about multiplayer. Whereas on the PC side of it, I went to go look up the bio of the game on Steam, and it mentions multiplayer. So in the first thing in the bio says that Bullet Sorrow is a first-person online shooter. That's the first thing that comes out. No mention of that on the PlayStation. So that further ties into my point that I think the limitations of the hardware because of that. This is like the third game that I have seen on the PlayStation VR format. There's PC is multiplayer on PC, but single player on the PlayStation. We have that garbage ass Warzone that I spoke of. That's supposed to be a 50-person multiplayer game that has no multiplayer whatsoever on the PlayStation. We have Raw Data, which is $40 on both PC and PlayStation VR, but the PlayStation version has no multiplayer. And now I noticed this Bullet Sorrow does not appear to have a multiplayer. So I think that speaks to the limitations of the hardware. It's just something about this hardware can't handle it. It can't handle what PC can. So hell, same thing with this game. In my opinion, don't be surprised when the PS5 comes out if this Bullet Sorrow game gets a patch, for multiplayer when the PS5 comes out. So yeah, I do believe that some of these games that's currently on the PlayStation VR is gonna, hell, even Raw Data. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets a VR multiplayer patch when the PS5 comes out. So Great Tantrum, you said, I hear sorrow comes to those who bought Bullet Sorrow. Um, it just didn't. It didn't look like anything that moved me. So, and if I would have bought that game on PlayStation VR expecting it to be a multiplayer, I would have been pissed. Pug, you said I'm saving an upgrade to 5G Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus soon. Nope. I'm good with my $179 LG Stylo 5. To the point where I even put the case on it from my LG Stylo 4. So whenever I want to use the stylus pen, I have to remove the cover to use that. But I do not care because I just use the phone to make phone calls, send and receive texts, and to read articles whenever I'm bored. That's it. I don't need all that filter stuff to put reindeer and reindeer antlers and dog ears and cute Rudolph the red-nosed, all that shit on pictures and shit. I don't need any of that shit. So I think that was about it as far as, you know, the subject of this podcast. But I will take a quick moment to go into Twitter and backtrack on some of the posts that I made and see if any of them is worth talking about. You know what? I will take a second to read this. Tantrum, you said We Happy Few is on PC VR, not PSVR. Yet another game on the list of nope for PS4, PSVR. So, totally agree. Grab some glasses here. And the first domino has fallen from what I thought the purpose of Dreams was. We Happy Few has PSVR support. I'm going to have to look that up. Because I didn't even, I don't know. I knew nothing about VR support for We Happy Few. That's something I'm going to have to look into. So, as I was, I've talked about the Dreams game in the past. And I believe that they are using that game to scout talent. And there was no doubt in my mind that some people were going to end up getting jobs out of this. And that is the title of this post. 1 second here. Hold on, let me, there we go. Dreams user offered job by European game developer. I knew it was going to happen. I knew somebody was going to end up getting a job out of this. Because I do hope that Dreams comes to PC, even if it's a PlayStation game, because with all the power that's going to be over there on PC, I think some people can make some amazing stuff in VR. With Dreams, with flat screen games, yeah, they can make some amazing stuff over there flat screen. But I'm curious to see what they can do as far as VR goes, because I think that I think the hardware is going to limit what they can do. Let me see, Tantrum, you said PG, that's the demo, not the main game. There's a VR version separate from the main game. On PlayStation VR, I'm going to look into that after I get done with this podcast. We Happy Few is not a game that interests me, but I'm definitely curious to see if it's on PlayStation VR. Dreams content creator Jimmy Jules 153 has been offered a job by a European video game developer for his work on Blade Gunner. an arcade shooter created in Media Molecule's DIY title that's well worth checking out. See here, speaking during an interview with Escapist magazine, the user was understandably enthusiastic about the response to his creation so far. So, a lot of quotes and stuff like that. I don't need to go any further than that. It just makes my point, in my opinion, that I just feel like Dreams, although it sounds like it's a great experience, I think from Sony's standpoint, I think it's for scouting talent. Not only do I think Sony is using that to scout talent, I think they're going to be scouting VR talent with that, because what better way to find VR talent on this Dreams platforms, and Sony can give them a job at probably half the cost of what they would have to pay somebody that's got years and years and years of experience. So I think Sony's using this as a method to scout talent. I think they're going to use this to hire developers that have a ton of potential, and I think Sony's going to groom them to be top tier developers. So but I will say that not even necessarily, I was talking about, like I said, I hope it comes to PC. Hell, when the PS5 comes out, I think they're going to be able to work some amazing shit on the PS5 with Dreams. You said, "We Happy Few Uncle Jack Live VR." Okay, I think I have seen that. Yeah, because I think that's separate from the game. Tantrum, Dreams is nothing more than a game engine with demonstration sharing. I would agree. I mean, I'm not a tech guy, so to me, no matter how you slice it, no matter what it is, whether it's a game, whether it's a fancy way of saying dev kit, whatever the case may be, I still think they're using it to scout talent. Shats, what's up? All right, let's check out another one. See if anything else is worth talking about. Dreams is a 3D modular art program music sequencer. Like I said, it sounds like a fancy way of saying dev kit. I know this was something that I was wanting to talk about. Hold on a second here. Let me dismiss this because I don't have to work tomorrow. PSVR MOBA Megalith to launch on PC VR headsets soon. Disruptive Games announced that Megalith is first-person MOBA for PSVR is headed to PC VR headsets soon. First launched on PSVR in January of 2019, Megalith brings classic hero shooter style combat to virtual reality in a 2 versus 2 arena battle. With 5 titans to choose from, you choose unique powers and abilities to go head to head with your competitors. Like top-down MOBAs such as Dota 2 or League of Legends, you are also tasked with destroying defensive walls and towers and leading your minions to victory, albeit in first person. Disruptive hasn't released word on whether the PC version available by way of Steam will allow cross-play with PSVR or when it will exactly arrive. The studio says in a tweet that more info is coming soon. Although we haven't had a chance to review Megalith, the PSVR version is currently sitting at a 4.5 out of 5 user rating. Check the gameplay trailer below to get a better idea of what awaits. I tried this game. You said party all night, no work. It's like I said, PUG, once I get done with this podcast, I don't know, I may sit up and watch YouTube videos. I may put on the headset and do some more sim racing, do some more Project Cars, or I might jump in the car and take a little stroll to the casino just to take in the atmosphere. So the only thing is, the food courts and all that stuff would be closed by now, so I would have to eat before I go there. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this Megalith thing is that yes, it launched on the PlayStation VR. What I'm curious about is this a PSVR title? Is this a title that PlayStation had a timed exclusive on, or is this a PSVR exclusive that did not meet expectations, so they decided to release it over to PC to cast it out to a wider net? If it is the latter, that brings me back to my question of whether Sony would let some of their dead VR titles make it over to PC. I'm trying to think of some titles that are on PlayStation that are not on PC. I think like Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. I don't think that's on PC. I'm not sure. Somebody can correct me if they know for certain. The Inpatient. I think that's only on PlayStation VR. I mean, there's way more titles that's on PlayStation VR that's not on PC. Because I think the Batman VR launched on PlayStation VR, and I think that I'm guessing that might have been a time exclusive. I don't know. So it just is just getting to the point where where I'm asking the question again: if Sony would let some of their dead titles go over to PC. Kevin, if you're referring to Rush, Until Dawn, Rush of Blood, as well as the Inpatient, yeah, I know that those are not on PC. I'm posing the question if those games, if Sony would let those games go to PC once they completely fizzle out on the PlayStation. Same thing, the Persistence, Great Tantrum. Would Sony let that go to PC once it fizzles out? Or is it a case of does Sony have a time exclusive on it, and it would go to PC once the exclusion period expires? So Final Fantasy 15 VR. I don't know anything about the Final Fantasy games, to tell you the truth. Shats, I'm sure PC VR would love Blood and Truth. That's one game that my natural gut says no, that's not a game that we would see on PC. That's why I brought up games like, Until Dawn, Rush of Blood, and The Inpatient. I think those are games that we probably could see on PC because I think those are some games that Sony might send over there once they fizzle out. Even though you could easily see Blood and Truth is a one and done game, it's still a great game. And it's still a highly recommended game for new adopters of the PlayStation VR. So I don't think so. You said Elite Dangerous is on PC VR, not PSVR. No, but the whole purpose of bringing that subject up is if Elite Dangerous was on PSVR, would they eventually let it go to PC VR once it fizzles out? And that's why I read that article about Megalith going to PC. Is it going to PC because the time is up on the was it a time exclusive and the time is expired, or is this a game that Sony decided to open it up to PC because the game just isn't doing well on the PlayStation platform? You know what I mean? So if that be the case, it opens up the question of whether they would let whether they would let some of their weaker games go to PC. Kevin used to Resident Evil 7. No, I don't see that going to PC. Because as far as like flat out horror games go on the PlayStation platform, Resident Evil is still arguably the number one horror game on the PlayStation format. You know, Arizona Sunshine is probably the number one zombie shooter on the PlayStation VR, even though it's a third party game, but I think it's going to get knocked off the stool when Saints and Sinners get there. So, yeah, I had to bring that up because, you know, when the rumors came out about Horizon Zero Dawn possibly going to PC and Death Stranding going to PC and all that stuff, a lot of people got heated about it. Oh, shit. Got a piece of paper flapping around it. Oh, there it is right there. I can get it. There we go. Got it. All right, let's see if I got something else worth talking about on another one of these Twitter posts. This is interesting. Pull out the old glasses. So I guess you could kind of say maybe this is Live from Wakanda also worked into this podcast because I'm reading off all the material that I would normally say for Live from Wakanda. See here. Martin Luther King Jr.'s iconic I Have a Dream speech recreated in VR for new exhibition. One of the most seminal moments in history has been recreated in VR for a new exhibition. Open from tomorrow. Martin Luther King Jr.'s iconic I Have a Dream speech can now be experienced inside an HTC Vive Focus Plus at the DuSable Museum of African American History in Chicago. We originally reported on the piece in late 2019, but now we've got a closer look at it. Oh. I'm going to stop right there. Because I was hoping that this was something that was, you know, I didn't know that you'd have to go to a museum to experience this. I thought this was something that, you know, we might be able to get on Steam, you know, like the Apollo or the Titanic experience. So no need to read any further than that. It's still cool that, moments in history can be redone in VR. Because I like that Titanic experience was a must-have for me. I had to see that ship sink from VR. As the Titanic is something that I've been fascinated with for years. Kevin, PS5 needs to hurry. I just want to play Drive Club in higher resolution. I played on PS4 and PS4 Pro, and I don't think it had any difference in resolution. In a nutshell, Kevin, I think in so many words, Sony is dropping support for Drive Club. So I don't know if you'll see an enhancement patch for the game once the PS5 hits, because the game is already delisted from the PlayStation Store. And they're going to shut the servers down at some point here soon if they haven't already done it. They're going to shut the servers down soon. And that's going to be it. That's going to be the end of the game. So I don't know if Sony would want to go through what they might perceive as a hassle to put together a team of people to try to put out an enhancement patch for the game. If they did, that would be great. And maybe they would be so nice as to turn the servers back on if they did that to put the VR multiplayer back in. But, Pug, you said VR was around in the 1990s when I was gaming on 16-bit Super NES and Genesis systems. I think I stumbled across an article that said that virtual reality was actually invented in the 60s, but I don't think not the way we know it today. But I have to go back and read. I have to go back and dig up that information. Kevin, you said that's what I'm afraid of. I'm assuming that you mean that because Sony's probably going to drop support on Drive Club, that you probably won't see a patch for the PS5, for the game on the PS5. Yeah. Uncompetitive Drive Club multiplayer dies March 31st. So, hey, uncompetitive. How about this? Let's see if we can get together with Sick Humor and do it one more time for old time's sake and play Drive Club VR. You, me, and Sick, and I guess anybody else that wants to join us too. In VR on VR multiplayer. Because I still have the I still have that stream in my library where moi was kicking y'all ass and Sick Humor was driving extra dirty and was trying to run me into the wall, but it didn't work because I'm Speed Racer, or Lincoln Racer, Speed Clay. You see here, Virtual Boy was bad because of the red bow that I tried, so I couldn't do anything to play that in VR. Okay, okay. And Pug, you said Drive Club servers shut down in March 31st, 2020, which is next month. Uncompetitive. I can't. Sorry. I packed up my PSVR headset because I'm moving March 19th and I won't have internet when I move in. Arrgh. Okay, uncompetitive. Totally understandable. Hindsight is 2020, but I should have proposed that a long time ago. But hey, it's all good though, uncompetitive. I would like to think that you're going to get the PS5, and I would like to think that you are going to get GT7 when it launches alongside the PS5. There we go. I'll see what I can do. There we go, right there. You one step ahead of me right there, uncompetitive. Talking about GT7, we can do that. We can get together on GT7 when we can do VR multiplayer on a game that that should run right and it should be clear. I saw your latest comment, uncompetitive. I won't repeat that. Just so I won't spill anything out there. I don't know. It's not my place to say. I don't know where his head's at. So sticking true to his name, huh? He said uncompetitive just weaseled out from that smoke. Now, uncompetitive did all right, but I think that yeah, definitely Gran Turismo 7 day one, that alone is my reason for getting the PS5. Not like there's other things that I'd like to see happen with the PS5. Like I hope that one day we'll get MLB The Show that's fully playable in VR. Because I think we got a better chance of that happening versus maybe EA possibly giving us Madden fully playable in VR, or 2K giving us NBA 2K fully playable in VR. But yeah, besides GT7, because I think it's going to be a given that we're going to get more first-person shooters in VR. I think we're going to get more sim racers in VR, and I think we're going to get more multiplayers in VR. But I want to see the shit go to the next level. I want to see us get, like MLB The Show fully playable in VR. I want to feel like I'm standing on the pitcher's mound and see if I can blow a 90-mile-an-hour fastball past the batter in VR. Yeah, I see your comment again. uncompetitive, which I'm hoping that's not the case, as he is a person that says he does not like it when people agree with him. He likes people to speak their mind and and stick to their guns on their opinions. He almost views people that agree with him all the time like he almost views them like yes men, and he doesn't like that. So I hope that's not the case, uncompetitive. By all Gran Turismo's day one. Now that Gran Turismo Prelude that they did on the PS3, I bought the Prelude, but I did not buy the game because I thought what they did with the Prelude was some bullshit. The graphics was absolutely gorgeous at the time. But what they did was they took cars from previous Gran Turismo games and ported them into that Gran Turismo Prelude. And because of that, you might have had a Toyota Supra from the PS1 ported into the PS3, and the Jaggies was awful. It looked like somebody cut the car right out of the PlayStation 1 and pasted it inside the PS3. It was absolute dog shit. And I did not buy the game because of that. But other than that, I think that's the only Gran Turismo that I did not buy. Chats, man, I can't wait to see what GT7 graphics are gonna look like. GT6 looks amazing. You have to but here's the thing though, Chats, you really got to keep in mind though that the current state of VR right now, for the most part, up until now, VR graphics were a whole generation behind flat screen graphics. Look no further than Ace Combat 7. The flat screen part of that game looks amazing. The graphics are great. But as soon as you go into that VR mode, it looks like something right out of PS3. You can make the same case for GT Sport. The flat screen part of that game is arguably one of the best looking sim racers out there. But the VR part of the game, now inside, when you're actually inside the car, that still looks great because they did one hell of a job with that part of the game. But the environment, like the trees and shit like that, the environment in the background, that part right there still looks like some last gen graphics. That still looks like some PS3 shit. I think... So what I think ultimately is going to happen with GT7, I think the flat screen part of the game, because I think it's going to be able to support like 8K, where you can upscale to 8K. So with GT7, I think the flat screen part of the game is going to look like some next level shit. But when you put on that VR headset, the graphics are going to come back to what the current flat screen graphics are. So I think the current graphics of GT Sport right now in flat screen, I think that's what we're going to see VR wise on the PS5, but the flat screen part of GT7 is going to be way up here, you know what I mean? So I just think the flat screen graphics are always going to be ahead of VR graphics. I think that's just the way it's going to be. I mean, there's only a handful of games out there right now, VR games, that have current gen graphics. And I think Lone Echo is one of them. Lone Echo is one of those games that don't look like a PS3 game. You know what I mean? As far as graphics goes. Lone Echo, the graphics on Lone Echo to me looks like the graphics are comparable with flat screen PS4 graphics at the beginning of the generation. I think Half-Life Alyx is definitely going to give us some current gen graphics. So I think Half-Life Alyx is going to be that game that's going to give us current gen graphics while we're still in that generation. There's not going to be, there's not going to be a situation like You know, Ace Combat 7, flat screen version of the game, PS4 graphics. VR part of the game, PS3 graphics. I think to use the PlayStation as an example, I think Half-Life Alyx is going to be one of those games that might look it's going to look almost as good in VR as it would flat screen. So I think it's going to be within the ballpark. Uncompetitive. I think GT7 will have 8K menu and replays. I agree with that. Kevin, you said Blood and Truth graphics are great too. They are. But I think I would put the graphics. What's up, Big Money? What's good with you? Man, every time your name come up, man, I think about that day when Sick had that podcast and you and OBJ was like, y'all was going at it, but y'all was bullshitting around, man. That stuff had me rolling, man. The way you was screaming. But Kevin, Blood and Truth graphics. This is how I would describe the Blood and Truth graphics. I would say they are not as good as current flat screen graphics. Like, no, it doesn't look as good as God of War, but I think it looks better than like maybe PS3 graphics. So I think that's the best way to describe Blood and Truth graphics. I think I think the graphics on Blood and Truth is kind of caught in between generations. But I think given the limitations of the hardware, I think Sony London did a tremendous job on that game. I think it's an amazing game, and I think it is definitely one of the best looking games on the PlayStation VR. So all I can say is I can only imagine what they could have made that game look like if they would have had, you know, the power of the PS5 or the power of a PC. Let's see here. PUG. Usually PlayStation, each system gets 2 Gran Turismo games, but it didn't happen this generation because they spent time patching GT Sports. Yeah. In Tantrum, you said Digital Polyphony said they will focus on frame rate with GT7. Thus, people will get 120 frames per second. If they own such a TV and monitor, they even said 240 frames is their target. You'll need a monitor for that, though. I think the 240 frame per second that they are aiming for, I think that's for the VR aspect of it. Kevin, you said agreed. It look like best PS3 graphics, say like Uncharted 2. Definitely agree there, 100%. Pug, you said GT 1 and 2, PS2, GT 3 and 4, PS3, GT 5 and 6, P3. Okay, let me start. Yeah, okay, and you said PS4 just GT Sports. Yeah. You said my TV is 600 hertz. Whoa, good God. And you know, and I think GT Sport did not get off to that great of a start. Matter of fact, if my memory serves me right, I bought GT Sport when it first came out. And truth be told, when I saw GT Sport, the first time I saw GT Sport in VR, I said these graphics is garbage. I said these graphics don't look anything like the flat screen part of the game. And I'm like, this is bullshit. I didn't know it was because of the hardware limitations. And Digital Polyphony said that they couldn't do VR multiplayer because it would have been a mess. And I think they were telling the truth when they said that. I don't think that's just a PR answer. It would have been a fucked up game. If they would have tried to put VR multiplayer in GT Sports, I think the graphics either would have been horrible or we would have had that super duper blur like we got on Drive Club VR. But yeah, but when the first time I saw GT Sport in VR, I was like, this is some bullshit. It took a while. I had to accept. Um, After a while, I had to learn to accept that VR graphics are behind flat screen graphics. They're a whole generation behind. Once I was able to accept that, that was one of the things that helped me move forward in developing a passion for VR. So, so eventually, like I said, I think I bought GT Sport when it first came out. Didn't like the graphics that I saw in VR, and I think I got rid of it. And then I think I came back and bought the game again when it turned up on sale. Pug, you said GT Sports lacked cars and tracks. Yeah, definitely. That was another issue with the game when it first launched. Because I think Forza was boasting. I think they were shooting their mouth off about 700 cars being available in Forza 7. I mean, but they've been adding shit over time. And then the good part about it is, a lot of this stuff that they've given us is free. So, Kevin, you said GT Sports VR could definitely have gotten more love. No reason not to have at least multiplayer. I don't think they could have done it. I don't think they could have now. Back then, I thought they could do it. I thought they probably didn't do it because, Sony didn't want to spend the money to do it or what have you. But I thought they could have done it then. But they had said, Digital Polyphony said themselves that they couldn't do the multiplayer VR because it would have been a mess. Because they were taking heavy fire for the VR portion of the game only having a time trial or a one-on-one versus AI. They were taking a lot of criticism for that, and they had said that if we'd done the VR, it would have been a mess. And I believe them now. That's evident by the landscape of the PlayStation VR right now. Again, with the VR multiplayers that we're lacking, the first-person shooters we're lacking, the sim players. That's why Project Cars didn't get VR support over on the PlayStation VR, because it would have been a fucked up mess over there too. That's what I believe. That's why they didn't do it. So I think that when the PS5 comes out, they will, as far as Project Cars too, they will either add a VR patch to it, or if the new one's around the corner, then that one will have the VR support. But we just now getting arcade racers for the PlayStation VR, like touring carts and Dash, whatever that game is called. I should contact the developer of Drive to get an update from him, because that's a game that's supposed to be like a arcade / sim racer. And I tried it out. He sent me a code, and I think he said it was an alpha build of the game, so he was letting me know that it was still a work in progress. But that game was supposed to be coming to the PlayStation VR. I haven't heard anything. So, uncompetitive. You said they could have you race against a ghost of another player in your VR player in your time bracket. I know you could race against your own. I think you could race against your own ghost in VR, but I think somebody was saying that they removed that they took that out of the game. That you can't race against your own ghost anymore, because the last couple of times that I've been playing it, it was against the AI. Now, another thing that they could have added to GT Sport in VR is give you the option to set the difficulty of the AI if you're going to let it be a one-on-one race, because the AI right now is like racing against a preschooler. You've already gotten past the AI car before you even get to the first turn. Let me turn the difficulty up to the point where it's going to take me like a couple of laps to walk him down and pass him. So I don't see why they couldn't have done that. Kevin, you said I have a Titan GPU and I can't even get out of low settings on Project Cars VR. Now, earlier today, I wasn't messing around with the settings in VR because as far as VR goes, I got the resolution set to 1440. And as far as like when I play against against AI, I set the grid at 15 cars. I don't want to put any more cars in that in it and put a strain on the PC. And I keep the resolution at 1440. But today, flat screen, I was monkeying around with it. Turned the resolution up to 2160, turned the hertz up to 60 hertz, and I was watching a replay of one of my previous races, and it ran skittish. So yeah, I understand exactly what you're talking about. Tantrum, you said some games on PSVR are so blurry that a smashed dude knocked out in a toilet stall has better has better vision. Yeah, and Drive Club VR is the prime example of that. You said the blurry vision in Drive Club is life. See, the blurry vision, the blurry shit on Drive Club VR, the biggest problem I had with it was night races because you couldn't see a turn until you get there. By the time you actually see that you coming up on a turn, you already going so fucking fast, you already gonna fly right off the track. So once I got that Rift S with that 1440 resolution and seeing some of these sim racers in 1440, shit, that's clear. I can see turns coming way down there. And I think that's the whole point of being, to me, I think that's key to being a good racer, even though I've never raced professionally in my life. But as far as video games goes, I think that's the key to being a good racer, is to be able the further down the road that you can see a corner coming up, the better you can decide how you're going to approach that corner. If you don't see the corner until the last second, you got no strategy on how to best approach that corner. You're going to fly off the track, or you're going to end up slamming on the brakes and having to do like a sharp left turn like that or whatever. So because of that, I'm actually considering getting an HTC Vive, not an HTC Vive, an HP Reverb next year for the 4K resolution to be able to see these racing sims in 4K. But we'll have to see how that goes. Kevin, I mean, we got chats. I like a VR wash and wax by some nice looking females. There you go. In a bikini, no doubt, right? Covered with soap. Let me see here. I've been on an hour and a half here. Damn. 3 in the morning and 12 viewers. For me, that's amazing. But I think over in the UK, it's about 8 o'clock over in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure some of you over in the UK probably getting up, getting breakfast and stuff. So good morning to you all over in the UK. Pimax 8K or HP Reverb is king of the resolution. Well, let me see here. Humble Bumble VR bundle. Humble VR bundle clears $1 million in payments for incredible games deal. Now, that's pretty good because I think you didn't necessarily have to. I think you could have made them an offer. You see. Several days remain to buy the game bundles, which unlock at 3 tiers. The least expensive starts at $1 and includes Smashbox Arena and Cosmic Trip. Things starts to get interesting if you pay more than $14.28 to add Gorn, Budget Cuts, and Space Pirate Trainer. Exceed $15 though, and you also add Super Hot and Moss. Okay, so you're paying in tiers. So So $15 is not doesn't seem to be like for the top tier. $15 doesn't necessarily be the concrete price. Is just the minimum price for that tier. The bundle represents an incredible savings on a number of great games, and as of this writing, more than 70,000 bundle purchases have been made. The bundle also clears 1 million in total payments, according to the Humble Bundle site. Soundtracks for some of the games are also included as a bonus, which is cool. You can make a Humble Bundle. I hate that. That's a tongue twister. A Humble VR bundle purchase. You can choose how to distribute the funds to publishers and charities of your choice. The games are delivered as Steam keys, which makes it easy to distribute any of the ones you already own to other people. After all, some of the people are likely to be getting into PC VR for the first with the March 23rd release of Half-Life Alyx, and they'll be looking for more VR games to play afterwards. The titles in this bundle represent a fantastic introduction to several genres. We know a lot of VR gamers already have some of these games, so in addition to donating to a charity and supporting development, you could also help introduce new headset owners to some games they might have missed in the first few years of consumer VR. That's pretty cool. Kevin, you said don't sleep on dreams and please don't ban you. No, nobody's gonna ban you, Kevin. You've been cool. And don't sleep on dreams. Absolutely not. I'm just like, in my case, I'm just not getting dreams until VR support goes live. I'm sure, I'm hearing that they're making some amazing shit, but I'm not interested in the flat screen stuff on dreams. I'll get it when the VR support goes live. I may not get it day one when the VR support goes live. I may wait and give people some time to, make some stuff for it and then go get it. But the VR aspect of it is my only reason for even being interested in dreams. So there you go. There you go, Pug. Yeah, I won't. When it comes to banning people, I think I'm fair. People being obvious trolls. If they being trolls in the sense of that they just trying to, have some lighthearted fun, then I usually let that go. But if they're being trolls trying to say some shit that's trying to get under my skin, then I get rid of them. If they say some racist shit, I get rid of them. You say, yeah, I'm disappointed. No VR yet. Yeah. I mean, but we know it's coming, so I'll get it when it comes out. Because I'm willing to bet that when Dreams gets his VR support, I'm willing to bet they sell at least 500,000 more of them. Because there's going to be so much, this probably going to be so much VR content that you're going to have access to and only paying one price for the game, as far as I know. So today is March 29th. It is leap year. Tomorrow, the countdown officially starts. Or if you want me to put it that way, we are at 23 days and counting for Half-Life Alyx. So we might get some new VR videos. Truth be told, between now and the 23rd, a lot of shit over my head, Truth be told, I really don't know what's other than Half-Life Alyx. I really don't know what's supposed to be coming out this month as far as VR goes. I know there's a couple of titles that's coming out, but nothing is like that I got on my calendar. No. Sandro, you said, all right, Clay, I'm out. Have a good night. Laters, yeah, I ain't too far behind you, Tantrum, because I'm starting to yawn here, and I'm starting to get a little bit scratchy too. So I'll be ready to wrap this up in a few minutes. But Kevin, you said I think PS4 the only thing holding the VR at this time. Well, rumor has it that's why they made the PS4 Pro, because rumor has it that the PlayStation VR ran like dog shit on the vanilla PS4. So rumor had it that's why they made the PS4 Pro, because they needed the extra power to make it run right. But but Sony tried to sell the PS4 Pro as this is a 4K console. This is a console for you to take advantage of your 4K TVs. I think that was an added bonus, but I agree with the belief that the PS4 Pro was created for the PlayStation VR, because I believe you had the code names Morpheus and Neo. I believe that I think PlayStation VR was code name Project Neo, and I think the PlayStation Pro was code name Project Morpheus. So let me see what the current temperature is right now. It is currently 22 degrees outside, therefore it is cold. I do not know if I want to take my ass outside. Stretching out, watching some YouTube videos to close the night out is starting to sound like a better option. So, yeah, I'm about to yawn here in a moment. So, yeah, that's going to do it for me. Sorry, folks. Yeah, it's time to go ahead and wrap it up. Hell no, ain't no way I'm jumping out for no midnight ride tonight. Stay in my ass home, stretch out, and watch some YouTube videos. Either that or watch some live shit on Twitch. I still think Twitch is better to watch live stuff, live gameplay, just because it's just organized a little bit better. Using like iRacing for an example, because I love sim racings. You type in iRacing, and then it'll list all the live streams first, and then the recorded videos after that. Whereas on YouTube, you type in something, and it'll just show you. It'll kind of start with the videos. I think videos that might have the most views. They don't show you the live shit. If I type in iRacing on YouTube, it's not going to show me live streams. It's just going to show me videos. And it's going to show me the video that was either the most recent or the one with the most views. So that might be how I close out the night. I might stretch out and watch some iRacing, or watch some streams on tube, because I also like watching FIFA too. So with that being said, I'm getting ready to boogie on out of here. Have a good night, everybody. Kevin, you have a good night. Chats, Tantrum, Uncompetitive. And anybody that I missed, have a good night. I'm going to boogie on out of here. No promises as far as any streams later on today. I think probably not going to do live from Wakanda today, because I think I've already covered most of the material that I would have done in that. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to boogie on out of here. Everybody have a good morning, and I will catch y'all later. Wakanda forever, and deuces.